You've been coddled for far too long in your life. You live with your mom. You haven't really had an incentive to get out there and make more money. You haven't had an incentive to get in shape because no one's really put your ass to the fire and told you, hey man, you need to change. And your reality is a direct reflection of your inadequacies. I'm gonna say that again. Your reality is a direct reflection of your inadequacies. You should have been leveraged your abilities. People recognize you. You've been on TV, dude. You should not be broke at all. You know what I'm saying? There's no excuse for that. And also, you shouldn't be fat either.
It's horrible, though, right? Like, I understand what you're saying with that, and I completely agree. And if my credit right now was where I could, but my credit is horrible.
So hold on. You see what you're doing right now? You're making excuses. No one gives a fuck about your excuses, Skippy. I'm being all the way 1,000 with you.
And if it was as simple as, right, you need to get your own place. But when you're like, I am working on that. I have a job at least, right? And another thing that
no one gives a fuck about your excuses, Skippy. I'm being all the way 1,000 with you. How I feel? The problem is this. You're looking at what you don't have instead of looking at what you do have.
Yes.
And you're making excuses for your inadequacies. You live in the United States. You got running water. You got food. You got everything, bro.
You okay, bro?
It's fine.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Duke Reacts, part of the Duke and Don channel. And today, today we got a damn packed show for you, all right? Because today, that's right, folks, you saw the thumbnail. We gonna be coming at the necks of these fresh and fit dudes. Listen. For you stands in the building, what did I tell you? You thought this was over, but it really isn't over. Listen, as long as these guys keep spilling out the garbage that they're spilling out over here, I'm gonna keep covering it because some of the ideas that they're giving to these young dudes out here, they just don't help young men. So before we get into the reaction video in question, all right? So you guys at your stands who are filing in right now, please go ahead and have a seat, okay? We'll get to you guys in a minute, all right? Thank you guys so much for the new subscribers. I see a lot of new faces in here. Welcome. It's gonna be a jam-packed show, all right? So before we get started, there's something important I want to get through to the heads of you guys right now, all right? I think it's very important. I think you guys should be able to learn, and you know, it's the biggest reason why a lot of you guys out there right now, and I'm talking to the gentlemen, but ladies, you can take some notes too as well, all right? Why a lot of you guys right now are finding it difficult to figure out what it is that you want in life, right? Why a lot of you guys are essentially finding it difficult to figure out what it is that your purpose is in life, all right? And that's the biggest question a lot of us have to ask ourselves. What is it that we are here to do, all right? And if you guys look around the world right now, you look at people that you interact with, all right? What is a common theme? We talk about mental health issues. We talk about anxiety. We talk about depression. We talk about all these different illness or ailments that we're talking about here that a lot of people are going through and suffering from, right? And the vast majority, the reason why a lot of people are suffering from this situation is A, the lack of community, lack of togetherness, but B, the lack of understanding what it is that their purpose here in life is to do. And the biggest thing, especially for a lot of young men out there, a lot of young men are finding it hard to know what it is that their purpose is, right? And a lot of times you're listening to some of these guys, you attach it to either some of these guys or you attach it to women. And that's the vast majority of you guys out there. You're attaching your purpose to women, and when it falls and fails in your face, right, you go ahead and lose your mind. You wild out. You join one of these pill communities, all right? You guys have to go through a process where now it's time to reevaluate what it is, okay? And here's the thing, a lot of us are not asking ourselves the most important question every single day to help us get to the point where we're understanding what it is that our purpose in this life is supposed to be. And you guys want to know what that question is? That question is, what is your why? All right, I'm gonna say that again. What is your why? We used to go over this in sales all the damn time, all right? And I'll ask my guys, I would say, why is it that you get out of bed in the morning? Why is it that you play this game called life? Guys, because this is a game. It's a horrible game, but it's a game and it never stops, okay? So why is it, knowing how horrible this game is, knowing how difficult the challenges, the obstacles that faces you every single day when you walk out that door, why is it that you do it? The problem is a lot of us right now, we're going throughout this life not really understanding why it is that we're doing what we're doing, why it is that we're going to work, why it is that we're actually engaging with people, what it is that we want, what it is that we're here to do. A lot of us are not asking ourselves these questions, all right? And when we don't ask ourselves these questions all the time, when we look at ourselves in the mirror, yes, the only one that you should be basically looking at, because that's the only person you should be answering to, right? We don't ask this question, meaning that a lot of us fail to hold ourselves accountable. That is the biggest thing, because you're not asking yourself, why is it that I'm doing this thing right now? Why is it that I'm getting out of bed? What is the point of me going to work? What is the point of me dealing with all these other people I don't even feel like dealing with? What is the point? Right? And a lot of you guys, because you don't understand what that why is, you get swept up in the current of life. You get swept up in the trappings. Look at our young men nowadays. Our young men are here and they are suffering because they are caught up in the trappings of life. The women, the drugs, the money, all these different things that could be trappings of life. And I'm not sitting here telling you I'm perfect. I fall into the trappings myself. I have fallen into those said pitfalls and said traps that life has out. But the thing is understanding what those pitfalls and what those traps are. And the best way to understand it is understanding why you get out of bed in the morning. For me, it's to provide for my family. Y'all, if y'all were to ask yourself these questions right now, ask yourself why it is that you get out of bed in the morning. Why is it that you do this thing called life? What is the point of this, right? What is the point of life? You go out and I dare you, go ask any random person. All right, they'll tell you one of 3 different answers. All right. And the most important one that you'll hear is to find happiness. It's to go on a journey. It's to do this. It's to do that. All these vague, ambiguous terms that really don't mean nothing. It's all a bunch of garbage, all a bunch of flighty garbage that doesn't keep you grounded. That's why I don't fuck with these manifest religions or manifest beliefs that a lot of these young women out here have. But I'm also noticing a lot of young men have this manifestation beliefs too as well, where you just sit there expecting something to happen to you. That is not how life works. That is not how this game is going to be played. If you're sitting there expecting something to happen to you, expecting that job to come, expecting that 6-figure income that you're hoping for to come, expecting the man of your dreams to plop in your life, expecting the woman of your dreams to plop in your life, expecting a good outcome in the relationship, expecting all these different things, and you're just sitting here waiting for it, guess what? Expectations is nothing but hope. And a lot of times, hope is something that leads to disappointment. Ask yourself that question. How many times have you hoped on something, that expectation that you've put on something, and it ends up leading to disappointments? This is the same thing that's ruining a lot of relationships today, whether it's with your family members, whether it's your significant other, whether it's with all these different people that you're supposed to be going out there and building relationships with. A lot of us forget that. How many times have you had hope and it's led to a disastrous disappointment? It's because hope is just an expectation. And if you're sitting there expecting something to happen, all right, you're basically putting yourself in a situation where you're not putting any real world plan or execution in order to get what it is that you want. That's right, folks. Life is about action. You got to go out and get what it is you want. Some of you ladies out here talking about you're single. I can't find me a man. Oh, God. Kevin Samuels, why can't I find me a man? The reason why is because most of y'all choose to just sit there and wait for this stuff to come to you. Oh, okay, it'll happen when it happens. And does it ever happen? No, it doesn't. Reality is not a fairy tale. This shit's real. People are real. People are random. You gotta be what it is that you're expecting out of it, meaning you have to put in a plan. If you're expecting to get that job interview, if you're expecting to land that job, you have to put in a plan of attack. Hope is for people who fail to plan and execute. I'm gonna say it again. Hope is for people who fail to plan and execute. If you lack the ability to plan, if you lack the logical foresight to go ahead and put together a pen and paper, all right? It doesn't even have to be detailed. It just has to be a bare bones plan. A bare bones. Basically, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to work every day. So when I get that paycheck, I'm going to stash it so I can go ahead and get to the next level in life, to help me get to the next level. Or maybe to pay off this little debt so I can get to the next spot, so I can pay off the other debt, so I can get to the next spot, eventually to the point I'm debt free. Setting up these different plans. The same thing when you're trying to find yourself a relationship. I'm going to set myself a plan to not only put myself mentally in a better place, but put myself physically in a place where I can be seen by like-minded people who either share similar activities that I like to share or are interested in me because they're interested in me and my personality and what it is that I have to offer. Yes, that's right. That means you go out there and you take action. It doesn't even have to be physical. It could be even online. You see that girl on Instagram or someone it is, you want to go ahead and send her a DM, go ahead and send her a DM. She might not respond to you, but at least you tried. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. But then we circle it back, right? Because we all fail to plan and all of us are running around here living life on hope, living life on manifestations and just hoping good things will come to us because we think about it. A lot of us are finding ourselves in situations where we are failing. And the worst part is the people we surround ourselves around, the people that we listen to are also complicit in our failure. So this is what we have to understand. When we're sitting here in a spot where we don't expect anything, when we're expecting stuff, when we're hoping on things, when we're not taking action, you're not going to succeed. Now you're going to ask, okay, Duke, how can I get to the point where I'm going to start taking action and actually start build to a point where I can start developing my purpose? You go ahead and you find your why. That's how you do it. And how do you do it? You got to figure out what it is that you want. And the reason why a lot of you guys don't understand what it is that you want, because you haven't been there. You haven't felt it. You live in a selfish mindset. What you got to understand is the most important thing for getting it is what it is that you want is to understand what it is other people want and help them get to what it is that you want. That's how you do it. That's how you become successful. That's how you find your purpose. It ain't about happiness. I tell you guys all the time, happiness is found in the little moments, the little nuggets, little precious points of time where you're no longer caught up in the currents of life that stresses you out, but you are at peace. That little moment of peace, that's when you're supposed to sit yourself down and appreciate it. A lot of us fail to do that. So it's not about happiness, but it's about finding what it is that our why is, and that's leading to our purpose. And the best way to do that is to go ahead and help other people get what it is they want. That's right. You got to get out of your own mindset. You see, the biggest thing that is hindering people from figuring out what it is their purpose is, all right? The biggest thing is because you people are selfish. Majority of us are selfish. We think of ourselves. I'm not saying being selfish is a bad thing. No, you got to be a little bit selfish. You have to, all right? Because you can't take care of yourself. How can you expect to go ahead and take care of others? So you have to have a little bit of selfishness in you. That's fine. But in order to figure out what it is to get what it is that you want in life, you have to get out of your own head. You have to figure out how to get out of your own head, get out of your own way, and figure out how to help other people. Because guess what? Helping other people leads to building a community. Just like the one that we have here. You guys in the chat, shout out to you guys. That's how this stuff works. And once you build a community and you're able to help your community, guess what? You figured it out. That's what this life in this game is all about. That's what your purpose is supposed to be. I'm going to tell you something right now that a lot of you guys aren't going to hear from these dating coaches or these life coaches, all these different places, all right? Your purpose in this world to even give you that happiness is to give back to people. Think about it. All the people who done made it in the world with all the fame, all the fortune that they can ever imagine. What is the one thing that always leaves them empty that they end up having to go fill anyways? The one thing that they have to go fill that void is to figure out how to give their money back, whether it's in donations, whether it's in developing programs, building schools. You always see these philanthropic type of things that happen. Why? Because once you get to that spot where you have all the money in the world, when you have all the fame or notoriety in the world, it's still empty. A lot of people who get there thinking that stuff is going to solve their problems. It's not. It's helping others that are around you and most in need. And that doesn't have to be on a big, extravagant scale as these guys with money, but it's like helping your neighbor out, helping your family, helping your friend, seeing what it is that they want. This is an art that is lost because everyone is trying to be selfish. And when you're out there giving yourself, being selfless and giving these people what it is that they want, in return, those same people are going to help you get what it is that you want. And that's what it is in life. Because when you get to a point when you have what you want, not only that, you have a community that not only depend on you, but you can depend on them. That's how this game works. A lot of us are working around here miserably because we don't have anyone to depend on but social media. That's why you have all these people airing out their business and all this stuff, because we don't have someone that's close. We don't have that ear that we can talk to because we haven't spent that time building the community, building the connections that really matter. Instead, we're here dividing ourselves off for arbitrary, artificial things that don't matter. So what have we learned right now from this segment? We've learned that in order for us to figure out what your why is, to develop that purpose, you have to go out and you have to help other people. That's what it is. Whether it's in your relationships, a lot of us, that selfish mentality still permeates through, where one side it's all about what I can get from that relationship rather than pouring in. And you don't understand, when you're just taking, you're leeching, the other person is hurting and becoming less and less likely to be involved and to put more into the situation when the other one isn't pouring in. That's what it is. You have to give back. Whatever you take, you have to give back. Yin yang. That's how this stuff's supposed to work. But somewhere along the line, we forgot about this. And that's what it is. So if you want to figure out what your purpose in life, if you want to try to find what true happiness means and where you need to go, you got to figure out how to help somebody, whether it's a small scale, the little things that you can do. And believe me now, details matter. And people respond and remember the little things. All right? It doesn't have to be these big, extravagant things, but the little things that you can do just to give back to the people who matter to you, to start building that community. That is the step that's going to set you on your way to progress. And that's what I got on this, folks. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. But let's go ahead and move on to the next video, because this one, all right, this one's gonna be a lot interesting. And those of you guys know, okay, because you guys have been asking and requesting this video, so you know, listen, I'm not one to disappoint. So we gonna get on these mofos too, all right? Skippy, this gentleman who is a bit of a nerd. Some of you guys have seen him around the YouTube milieu, the spaces and whatnot. Recently ended up on the Fresh and Fit podcast, okay? Literally, guys, I thought we were done with these guys, but apparently not. So we're gonna keep going, okay? So they ended up trying to do this weird kind of intervention for Skippy, all right? For those of you guys don't know, he's this guy that does these cringe-worthy videos where he goes on dates, okay, with these random average-looking girls, okay, and you know, this whole shtick, it's basically, hey, you know, I'm awkward, nerdy guy, let's see if I can get a date, you know, and typically it doesn't really work out for him. Now, in actual reality, like real life, Skippy's a person who really doesn't even get it like that. He is someone who's going through a lot of situations. So he finds himself on the Fresh and Fit podcast. Well, go figure. And Myron Gaines is going to give Skippy here the advice, not the advice that he wants, but the advice, the life-saving advice that some of these other stands have gotten, that's going to help him become a more wholesome, fully functioning, well-represented in society human man. All right, some of these alpha males over here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video.
And correct me if I'm wrong, and I really hope that I'm wrong on this, okay? My guess is that because guys tend to hang out with guys that are a lot like themselves, right? And so my guess is that you don't hang out with and aren't really good friends with too many beta males like me, right? Which I know that I'm a beta male, right? One day maybe I'll get the alpha out, but when you give advice to betas, how well do they take it? Because it's kind of tough when you've got a person like, you're an intimidating person, in my opinion, right? Uh-huh. You seem to have it all figured out, even if you're like, hey, I didn't always have it all figured out. But I look at a person like you and I'm like, how much can you relate to a person like me? You seem to be a person that may say, hey, even though I've never been where you are, I've never been the overweight guy, I've never been the guy that feels uncomfortable in his skin a lot, but I still have advice to give you. Or do you...
Skippy, I'm gonna tell you this right now, right off the bat, you have done something, these Fresh and Fit guys, that they refuse to admit it, but they like to preach about it all the time, okay? And in my book, I think this makes you far above some of these guys that you're actually thinking about right now. All right, listen, you literally just admitted to yourself that you were a beta male, and you admitted to the people who are watching there and the girls that are on board that you're a beta male. Guys, we hear this stuff all the time where these guys like to swear, oh, alpha, beta, alpha, all this, but they never never like to call themselves alpha guys. Here's someone who's looking at your paradigm that you guys are building right now, the paradigm that you guys are setting up and saying, okay, yeah, I guess I fit into that category as a beta male. I'm gonna call myself a beta male. So if someone like Skippy, okay, who understands where he is right now mentally in relation to these different situations, has no problem calling himself a beta male, why is it that these motherfuckers who pretend to be alpha or say that they teach about alphaness and alpha males, why are they so uptight about calling themselves alpha males? So the fact that they're so scared to call themselves alpha males, but they want to go ahead and teach everyone how to be alpha males, but you over here saying, listen, if this is what you say I am, I can objectively look at myself and say this is where I am, Skippy, I say you're taking the first step into self-actualization, okay? That basically means that you have basically looked at yourself, you've looked at yourself in the mirror, you've understand your dysfunctions and your shortcomings, and you're admitting that, and you're willing to figure out what it is that you're going to do to make the change. That's the first step, okay? It's recognizing that you have flaws and you have mistakes, all right? And the next step is to go ahead and take action, all right? So let's go ahead and continue.
You have friends and people in your real life that are betas that have come along not just because of they paid money to be in the program, though.
So here's the thing, man. I actually identify 100% with where you're coming from because I used to be there too.
Really?
Yeah. The difference is this. I chose to change.
Okay.
So, and you're a little bit later in this and not deciding to change, but I used to play video games at a high level. I used to collect Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I used to play video games all the time. You know what I'm saying? And I decided, I used to be very skinny. I wasn't fat, but I was skinny. Okay. And I got picked on in school. I was bullied. And I've said on the podcast before, I think bullying is very good because what bullying does is it lets you know that you're inadequate, and then it forces you almost to make adaptations. You know what I'm saying? If a bully beats you up at school, what are you going to do? Well, you're probably more than likely going to start going to the gym. You're going to learn how to defend yourself. You're going to adapt to the abrasive situation and overcome. The issue is that you've been coddled for far too long.
Here's the thing, and I actually agree, and it sounds crazy, but I actually agree with Myron Gaines. I like when he's talking about the bullying, I share similar opinions. I believe that, kids out there need to be tested. If we're going out here creating worlds for kids, they're not really understanding what it is that, how the real world is and how brutal and tough that it can be. They're gonna come out here being offended by every little thing, and that's why bullying is that kind of barrier. All right, now don't get me wrong, it can get excessive, it can't get bad, all right, it really can. Kids are brutal. I'm just saying that's the first set of adversities a lot of our youngins go through when they're dealing in the real world. Okay, my kid got bullied, I've been bullied, my parents have been bullied, majority of you guys watching the show right now have been bullied, and those you guys that guys out there who have been bullies, all right, chances are you've had somebody who's bullied you in some sense. All right, now don't get me wrong, there's situations where it can get excessive, but I think it's one of the situations where it's the first sense of you being tested in life. How are you gonna handle adversity? No matter where you are, you're always gonna be tested, and the only way you can move up in this world is how well you can handle that adversity. So Myron Gaines does have a point here.
In your life, you live with your mom, you haven't really had an incentive to get out there and make more money. You haven't had an incentive to get in shape because no one's really put your ass to the fire and told you, hey man, you need to change. And the reason why so many people love this podcast is because me and Fresh, we're nerds. We don't run around and say, hey, we're alphas, we always been this way. Hell no.
Nope.
And as a matter of fact, I'll take it a step further. You never want to learn from someone that was a natural because they can't tell you how they got there.
Yep.
They just are naturally good at it. The jocks, whatever it is, the guys that are always good women, they're the worst coaches. But us, I was a virgin till I was...
No, because the jocks are still the worst coaches. Look at PJ Washington. Look at some of these athletes right now that are setting bad examples for a lot of these young men. They're not the epitome of naturals. Nah, they just got the bank and the money, and they're literally just getting ready to be served up by these OnlyFans models or IG models over here. That's basically how this works. Those guys don't have game, all right, because they don't have game because they never really needed to have game. They've always had the athletic prowess, which led to popularity and all these different things that kind of attention can provide. So no, and here's the thing, the concept of whole thing with naturals and whatnot, okay, it really doesn't exist. Okay, you either can try or you don't, and you fall into two different categories. That's it. There's no such thing as someone who's naturally good with women. Okay, there's someone who's naturally good at talking to people and dealing with people, being able to understand understand the different subtleties and even the different mannerisms and how people talk, right? Body language speaking, right? That's what I'm talking about. So there are people who obviously have that better advantage, but dealing with women is the exact same boat. Those guys, the difference between the guys who are quote unquote naturals and guys who are not, the guys who are quote unquote naturals went through their entire life going through and actually talking to people and talking to women, and guess what? They didn't fall at the first sign of rejection. No, they're the ones that keep going and hitting these girls up to the point where it's like all of a sudden all these different skills become natural to them because they practice it for so freaking long. And some of these guys didn't really even know they had those skills, or they were skills they were building. That's the thing. That's why schools and the different social situations are very important. Even how you're raised is very important. If you're raised as a single only child, or you're not really raised with as many interactions as with kids growing up, you're not really taught that social hierarchy growing up, you're never really going to understand the nuances of people. All right, so when we're talking about naturals versus unnaturals, I hear people who try and people who don't try. Okay, and try means fixing yourself, fixing your body, fixing your mind, but also trying when the going gets tough. All right, the tough gets going. That's who the hell you are. That's what you got to be doing. You got to try. The natural guys are the ones who ran through rejections until they went, and you also got to go back into the film room too as well. So you go through all these rejections, you reflect and you understand, okay, why did she say this? Why did she do that? And you start to learn how to pick up on patterns. And this is the thing that human beings are naturally good at, people. We're naturally good at picking up patterns. Majority of women, they tend to behave in similar patterns, and we can suss those out. It's done the point right now, I can talk to a chick and understand what categories we can put her in. Matter of fact, majority of you guys out there know how to differentiate which category you want to put a chick in just by observing or dealing with them. So you already have this internal indicator already. It's just about going about and practicing it. The problem is a lot of you guys either go out there and fail and never try it again, or go out there and don't even bother trying.
But I decided right then and there, I'll tell you too. Oh, no, memory lane. I'll tell you my story real quick. I'll never forget. It's 2008. May of 2008. I'm sitting in class, in African American Studies class. I was in high school. I was 18 years old, and senior year of high school. And this kid behind me, his name was Mike. Remember you, Mike? Thank you for this. He taps me on the back of my tricep right here, right? And at the time, I was 6'2", 160 pounds. And he goes, "Wow, you're really fucking skinny." And like all the girls in class laughed, right? So it was like right there at that moment, I was like, damn, because I had known like, I need to get in the gym. Because like people were shoving me around or whatever. When I played basketball at the time, people were able to box me out easily, whatever. So I was like, damn. So that summer, after I graduated high school, in June, I started going to the gym and I started training. Started watching YouTube videos on how to gain weight, go to the gym, whatever. But it took me feeling this sense of pain and embarrassment for me to realize I need to fucking change. Luckily for me, I did it at 18, but it's never too late to change, man. You're 43. You could definitely make some adaptations. I was playing video games. I was eating pizza. I was drinking a bottle, a Sprite 2-liter bottle every day back then. And, my dad was telling me you're a fucking loser, whatever it is. So the thing about being a man, and this, I just use that example. That's what stimulated me to change, right? The thing about being a guy is that your reality is a direct reflection of your inadequacies. I'm going to say that again. Your reality is a direct reflection of your inadequacies. So if women don't respect you, if your peers don't respect you, if you're broke, if you're fat, that is literally an outward manifestation of your failures. You know what I'm saying? It shows a lack of discipline, lack of ambition, whatever it is like that. And unfortunately for men, we can't do that. Because as a man, if you're a loser, society isn't going to coddle you. Maybe your mom will. Maybe the girls will say, "Oh, man." You know what they're really saying? "Good boy. It's okay. No big deal." But you're not going to get what you want. They're going to tolerate you, but they're not going to respect you. You know what I'm saying? So we got to make some concrete changes. So I took some notes here while you were speaking. And I'm going to go over the good and the bad. Okay. So first we're going to go over the good. You're very nice. You're very polite. You beat an addiction, which is fucking amazing. That's awesome.
Say that last part again.
You beat an addiction.
I
the opiates. You beat an addiction,
okay.
which many people can't do that.
Right.
Oh.
And you're fucking famous, dude. Now, let's talk about the bad. You're nice. Okay, that niceness seeps into awkwardness. And you're not leveraging your fame whatsoever. And there is no one stupider than someone that is famous and doesn't have money. You should have been leveraged.
He's right about that part, but another situation is you really don't need to be leveraging your fame. Listen, someone like Skippy, someone who's that new in terms of interacting with women, leveraging his fame, you're already setting them up to be eaten alive by some of these women out here. All right, no, you shouldn't be leveraging your fame just because you have it. Matter of fact, you want to be going the opposite way, the opposite direction. Ain't you the one Myron Gaines talking about discovery trumps disclosure? So you want this dude to be walking around saying, hey, I'm Skippy, come date me. That's not how that shit's supposed to work, man. What are you talking about? Okay, first of all, don't have him do, hey, Skippy, don't listen to the man, okay? He leveraged his fame to try to get boxed, and look how it turned out for him, okay? He damn near almost destroyed his own podcast trying to leverage fame, okay? Don't do that. Do not leverage fame, okay? Especially in this Me Too era, you don't want to do that. And another point he's talking about you're too nice, okay? It's not the fact that you're too nice. Women actually like guys who are respectful, and that's a form of just showing the fact that you're nice. The problem is when you're overly doing it to the point where you're excessive. That's what it is. So here, the correct term is you're too excessive when you're being nice. You're to the point where you're a doormat. All right, that's a problem, because listen, this world is a dog-eat-dog world. You got to understand that when it comes to relationships, when it comes to dating, like Kevin Samuel says, it's a blood sport. So what's gonna end up happening is if you open yourself up out here because you're out here looking for a treat, guess what? There's some broad out here that's gonna trick you. That's how it's gonna happen, okay? So when we're talking about nice, it's not saying that you gotta be a dick or be abrasive. No, keep that nice, keep that sweet attitude that you have about you. That's actually gonna be very charismatic. That's part of the reason why you're pretty famous, dude, is because you're that niceness, that algorithm is pretty charismatic. However, what you need to do is to have a backbone attached to that, all right? A backbone where that's basically saying, all right, I have these sets of boundaries that I am not gonna let anyone cross whatsoever. And it takes a couple things to be able to develop that attachment piece, that backbone, okay? It takes integrity, and it takes developing a routine. Those are things that are gonna help build a characteristics and your characteristic, and basically ultimately form the rigidness of who you need to be. So that way you can be as nice as you want, but if any one of these broads out here, or if any one of these dudes out here come in and try to push you beyond your limits, you already know where that is, and you know where to stop, and you have to be unafraid and unapologetic to be able to make that known when somebody crosses the line. That's it. But there's not a problem being too nice. Just don't be a doormat.
Your ability, people recognize you. You've been on TV, dude. You should not be broke at all. You know what I'm saying? There's no excuse for that. And also, you shouldn't be fat either. You know, there's not many things in life that you can control, but your body weight, your image, your personal hygiene, that is something you can't control. Said on the podcast a million times. You have no excuse to be fat in 2021 with all the free information out there on fitness and lifestyle and everything else like that, man. So, number one, you need to lose weight. That's number one, because once you lose weight, it's going to build a certain type of discipline and foundation for you to build upon other endeavors for success. If you can get in shape, be disciplined, it's going to be easy for you to go to work, push yourself, get yourself out of your comfort zone. The gym is merely just a manifestation of your efforts, and you can apply that into real life. So that's number one. That's the foundation, right? Get in the gym. Number two, you need to find another job, bro. You need to make more money. It's unacceptable that you're 43 years old and you have not broken $15,000 per year. That's unacceptable. And quite frankly, you have no business even dealing with women until you get your money on point, especially for what your goal is, which is to get married and have a family. Okay? And then you got to get out.
And let me just put this right here. All right, so far he's on point. Okay, I mean, listen, if you ain't got your paper up, there's no reason why you should be out here dating. All right, like I said earlier, you can't. How you expect to go out here and show somebody an experience, build a world for a woman, right? How you gonna do that if you ain't got no paper? What you gonna do? You got to be able to get your paper up. And on top of that, he's also right. When we're talking about the physicalities, you also got to get that up too as well. So far, some of these stuff, they seem pretty basic.
Mom's house.
I understand.
I don't live in my mom's house.
You live by yourself. You live by yourself now?
I have 2 roommates.
Okay, you got to get out of there. You got to live on your own. You know what I'm saying?
My credit is horrible, though, right? Like, I understand what you're saying with that, and I completely agree. And if my credit right now was where I could, but my credit is horrible. So I like some
see what
of
you're doing right now.
Whose fault is that?
No, hold on. You see what you're doing right now? You're making excuses. No one gives a fuck about your excuse.
He's telling you why he can't move out on his own is because his credit's fucked up. For those of you guys who don't know, man, when it comes to apartments, listen, they do credit checks out here, okay? There's a whole different reporting bureau that a lot of you guys don't know, that a lot of these landlords, potential landlords, they're going to look at it and say, okay, I'm going to make a value judgment based off of how this is going to work, all right? Are you someone that's going to be able to pay your rent? And so far, listen, as long as you're not living with your mama, Skippy, you're doing all right. You're doing fine. You got your roommates. Your problem is you got to figure out how to manage your money better, okay? That's pretty much what it is. But then, listen, he's telling you, Myron Gaines, why the hell he can't move out of his roommate's house and all of a sudden be this person, you know, who's all of a sudden independent and doing his stuff. He can't just do that automatically the way you're saying, okay? What you got to do is actually lay down an actual plan for this man. You just telling him this is what you have to do. It's pretty basic, and it doesn't have anything concrete attached to it, okay? And he just told you, I make $15,000 a year, all right? And on top of that, I have roommates. I'm trying. My credit sucks. I want to be able to get out of it. I got on my mama's, but I got to be able to figure out how to get out of this. So, Myron Gaines, this is an opportunity for you to figure out how to give him a step-by-step playbook on how he can get out of his roommates and how he can build his credit. That's how you're supposed to do it. But don't sit there and just talk at him, bro. Let him know.
Skippy, I'm being all the way 1,000 with you. No one cares about your excuses. Your credit is bad because you made bad decisions in the past.
You can
So
fix
now-
your credit.
Yeah,
You could fix your credit.
no, but I live with the roommates because I'm trying to fix my credit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, with all due respect to that last part, right?
Yep.
I understand what you're trying to say with the motivation thing, and that's totally true, right? But please try to understand that you're saying that to a person that's working on it, right? And if it was as simple as, right, you need to get your own place, but when you're like, I am working on that. I have a job at least, right? And another thing that you're saying, and I think that you'll agree with me on this, and I could be wrong, but don't you agree that when you're depressed, it's easier to put on the pounds? That when you start getting motivated and start feeling better about yourself, that it's easier to lose weight then, because working out helps you feel better about yourself and the depression goes. But that's one of it's an excuse, but it's also a truth. And I think that so until people come to me that can, like, with as bad a credit as I have, if it's just as simple as me getting my own place when my credit is this horrible and these things, and one of the things why I have horrible jobs is I have been.
All right, I want you guys to notice something, okay? Because now, listen, I read body languages, okay? And now you got to understand, even when you're watching this podcast, his situation was he was always kind of like, you know, shaky and fidgety with his hands and not understanding what it is that he's doing, putting the hands in the pocket, taking it out, you know, doing all that stuff. It's even now getting to the point where it's more pronounced because he's starting to feel it, even to the point where some of these other girls, young sister over there putting her hand on his back, was starting to feel the tension being created in this room, okay? Listen, man, you got to give this dude a play-by-play step-by-step playbook on how he's supposed to do it. He's letting you know this is his situation right now. That's how he's supposed to do it. So give him an actual plan to do it, okay? And yes, here's the thing, Skippy. All right, people do get fat when they're depressed, okay? You know, they eat more, they stress eat. They actually use that food as a coping mechanism, and that's where you need to stop, okay? You need to stop that, and you already have an understanding that going to the gym is something that's gonna help you feel a lot better, and just generally being active and surrounding yourself with people who actually care about you. That's something that actually matters. Is can help you pull yourself out of that depression. But you got to also understand what that cause is. And I applaud you, man. If you're sitting with your roommates, that's what you got to do. But now you have to come up with a plan in terms of saving to get yourself out of this mess. And Myron Gaines, dude, you got to give this dude a freaking step-by-step plan. You sitting there grilling him and telling him the reason why he's not doing it. You're telling him there's no excuses, no chance for excuses. What are you talking about, bruh? People have different circumstances. People come from different situations, and people are just generally built different. Somebody like Skippy, he's built different, man. He's not built like the type to take life by the balls without a little bit of help in the hand, all right? For Pete's sakes, he's 40-something years old, and he makes $15,000 a year. So that tells you there's a lot of stuff going on in his life that you just don't know about, and he's trying to let you know that right now. This is what's happening. There's certain situations where, okay, circumstances, not excuses. We're talking about circumstances, okay? And that's where Myron is getting this wrong. He's mixing Skippy's circumstances and calling that an excuse. He's letting you know, these were the circumstances I was set in and put in. These are the reasons why I'm stuck in the situation that I'm in. And a lot of you guys right now in the chat, a lot of you guys right now in the comment section, or some of you guys watching right now, you guys can vibe and understand this, right? You've been in a situation where it's really difficult for others to understand what it is that you're coming from, because not everyone lives in your universe, all right? Like I said this before, our minds, we're all masters of our own universes. We're all walking around here, independent universes being created in our heads every single second. So we're walking around here. I don't know what's going on in your head or your situation or your life. You're the only constant in it, all right? So I don't know what led up to the point where you're 40-something years old making $15,000 a year, but now it's time to come to a place of understanding to get you beyond that. And sometimes people don't need someone to badger them or something like that. They just need a helping hand, bruh.
And as I've been going through the depression and stuff like that, I haven't been hireable because of how miserable and how I've been overcoming these things, right? When you have depression and mental illness that you're trying to overcome, especially when you are the micro famous and you're trying not to lose your shit on YouTube in videos and things, and you want to overcome it, but you also know that weirdly people on your channel. So when I don't make videos for a month or two, I'm doing it to try and better my mental health, not for other things. And if I could just move out, I would, but financially I can't. And every time I go to YouTube and I make a video where I say, hey guys, support me or my channel, I'm not doing it the right way. And people don't give a shit about that, because then it then comes off as begging.
Skippy,
right?
Skippy, where do you live?
Ogden, Utah.
Okay. You live in the United States?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have running water?
Yes.
You have electricity?
Mm-hmm.
You have food in the fridge?
Yeah.
Okay, you got nothing to be depressed about. There's children right now that don't even have clothes, that don't have food, that don't have anything. Only in the West do we have this notion that, oh man, it's so tough. Oh my God, I'm sad. I don't know how I feel. The problem is this. You're looking at what you don't have instead of looking at what you do have.
Yes.
And you're making excuses for your inadequacies. Okay? All I hear is wah, 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 fucking wah, bro. And the thing is that you've gotten away with doing this for your entire adult life because no one's told you the truth. Bro, you are blessed, okay? With all the flaws and all, you are blessed compared to 99% of the world population. You have running water, my friend, and access to food, electricity, and a shelter. I don't want to hear none of that shit. There's people right now that are in wheelchairs. There's people that are crippled. There's people that have serious defects. You're a nice guy. You're healthy, right? To a degree. Healthy enough to work, healthy enough to make YouTube videos, healthy enough to become famous to a degree where people recognize you. Count your blessings, bro. Stop making excuses for your failures. There's no excuse for
again, dude. Like, you're mixing excuses with circumstances. That's not how this shit works, okay? There were certain circumstances that led him into a certain situation. And yes, on the one hand, I kind of agree with Myron. Listen, at this age rate, if you're in the United States and you don't retire with at least $1 million in your bank account, then you mean you weren't doing something right throughout your years, okay? That's just basically what it means. And I'm not talking about having like an actual $1 million cash. I'm talking about net worth rise. For instance, if you could put together the right kind of plan, you can invest in some property, and over the time, property could be worth $500,000, or it could be worth a little bit more. It could be worth $1 million. You don't even know, but there you go. Congratulations, you're a paper millionaire. That's how this stuff's supposed to work. So you got to give this dude like some actual plan, but step-by-step plan based off his circumstances. I mean, let's take it back to the black community all the time. Look at the circumstances some of the children are coming out of, in a way that they're basically out to the point where they're, in Chicago, they're murdering each other just left and right all these damn times, right? Look at that situation. It's the circumstances. A lot of the guys coming up in that area, they don't know any better because there are no role models out there to teach them any better. And I can guarantee you that Skippy doesn't seem like the person who's had a masculine role model growing up throughout his life. He's a mama's boy. This is the consequences of someone who is overcoddled by his mom, someone who didn't have a masculine role model in his life to be able to say, hey, buddy, sitting up straight, tighten those pants and cut that hair, talk normal, walk normal, do this, do that, right? Somebody really on his ass, and that's that position is supposed to go to your dad. So that's how I know he probably didn't have a father figure going on. But real talk, he's letting you know the circumstances of what it is and why he's in the situation. You're talking about, oh, he's got this, he's got YouTube. You're famous, dude. There's no way you shouldn't be making money right now. Although on one hand, I do agree, but here's the thing, dog. You don't know what the hell you don't know. Most people, they can talk about being famous all the time, but they don't understand the nuances of running a business. They don't understand it. So guide him instead of telling me he can't have an excuse for something like that. No, sometimes people out here really run around here with their fucking eyes closed. They don't know what they don't know. So it's up to podcasts like yours to be able to teach him. But literally beating them over here in the head with his inadequacies and telling them that his circumstances that he came from doesn't freaking matter. That's a problem, bro, because you're not teaching. You're just basically here to freaking grandstand. And that's what it is. And now I'm starting to get to the point where it's like, bro, are you actually trying to help this dude, or are you trying to do this for ratings?
Have shitty credit at 43 years old. We have a playlist on here that we tell guys how to get their credit up on point, man. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different things you could do, and we could talk about it behind the scenes, obviously, because it's a little bit more involved than what I can talk about here. But, bro, I need you to stop looking at the...
Why can't you talk about it here? Literally, it's really not that hard. Matter of fact, at the end of this video, we're gonna have a discussion about it. Skippy, I'm gonna give you a step-by-step plan after this is over on how you can get your life right. All right. I don't know why you need to do this off air. It really doesn't take that long. The deficiencies are there. They're clear, and they're very good playbooks to be able to help you out. You don't need to go off air or hide it behind a paywall. That's probably one he want to do. Hey, he probably said, hey, Skippy, hey, I can't tell you this yet. I got to charge you $600 first. He waiting to charge you, bro. Hey, run, because he talk about leveraging fame and all that. He just gonna teach you how to be a mini Myron, okay? This guy is not giving you the proper advice to help you. He's just talking at you, and that's the problem. All right, these aren't tools that you're gonna use to help somebody. Especially, here's the thing, man. How I know that Myron's not a people person, and how you know he's not what he says he is. All right, he's not reading the situation properly. Okay, when you deal with people, just like when you deal with women, you gotta understand where people are coming from, to at least to a little extent. That's called being empathetic, okay? To a certain extent, you got to be able to understand, because once you understand that, you can better understand where that person is coming from. And just because the person you can understand where the person is coming from, guess what? You're better yet to influence and impact that person, because they're open to your reception, because they understand that you empathize with them, you empathize with the situation, and they're gonna be a lot more receptive to your advice that you're giving them. That's how it is. There's no empathy here. There's just nothing but bricks. He's basically talking to Skippy like he'll talk to any one of these broads on the panel right now. That's basically how it is. Listen, all right, he's a man. He's gonna need a playbook. He's not gonna need someone talking at him like a female. Don't do that, bro. Like, literally give him advice to help him out. Look at him, bro. He's literally he's losing his mind right now, and he's trying to hold it together, but like, it's wild,
not
bro.
to start looking at the haves that you have. You know what I'm saying? That's why you're depressed, because you're looking at what you don't have. What you need to start looking at is what you do have. Your whole perception of reality is fucked up because you're looking at the glass as half empty. And that's typically what losers do. And we're trying to get you into a winner's mindset. Okay?
It's all the mindset.
No, I don't want to hear no I feel or none of that fucking shit.
Merch.
The reality is that you need
bro.
to change, Skippy. And I know this is hard to hear. It's hard. And I'm going easy on you too. You know what I'm saying? But you've overcome some really good, you've overcome some adversity with the addiction and everything else like that. You need to take that same, that same veracity with overcoming that addiction. You need to apply it to other endeavors in your life, with finances,
Look at this,
with
man.
fitness, etc.
People are freaking built different. Look at this man, He's like, he's falling apart right now. And look, bro, you're so freaking dense. You can't even read the room right now. Everybody's starting to get uncomfortable because he's getting to a point where he doesn't no longer understand how to basically handle himself in this tense situation. You got a guy who's not very experienced with women, who's been coming from a place who's been shitted on by life, guy's bad credit, not really doing so good on the weight department, has been living with his mom, basically been sheltered his entire life. You put him on stage with all these beautiful OnlyFans girls, right? Or these women out here who basically talk about the wildest things, and not on top of that, you're basically berating him without really giving him any thoughtful advice to actually move forward. No, you're gonna save that off screen versus when it really matters, right? I'm gonna beat him up over the head on screen for the ratings, but I'm gonna tell you what you really gotta know to be able to help you out off screen. How the hell does that freaking help, bro? Like, you actually know how to help this dude out, or you just doing this to basically berate him? him, because that's the way he's feeling. A true person, you have to understand where this person is coming from. If this was a sales gig right now and you were interviewing to basically have this dude be your client, you failed. He's not going to listen to you. What about any of this interaction right here is going to basically say, oh, okay, Myron Gaines, okay, I'm going to go ahead and sign up for your program so I can get more of this. No, because you don't even understand where it's coming from. And the worst part is you don't even want to make the effort to understand where this guy is coming from. You just basically saying, I don't want to care, I don't want to know, it is what it is. That's how motherfuckers yeet themselves. That's how that shit happens. Or worse, they come out here and start yeeting other people, right? This is what I'm talking about. If you want to talk about the archetype of the Fresh and Fit stand, right? Skippy is it, minus the cringeness and the fame and whatnot. But real talk, that's him. That's majority of the people who come into this space. People who are coming from a spot of vulnerability. And you can see how these kind of messaging can literally turn this dude's mentality left. Someone who just beat an opioid addiction and it's still trying, and this is how you come at him. It's not the way, bro. At least if you're gonna give him all these criticisms and how go hard at him, you talking about you're not going as hard. It seems like you're going pretty hard on my brother, bro. The fact that you're doing this, at least offer up some step-by-step solutions. But I'm gonna tell you this right now. I watched an entire episode and there was no solution brought up whatsoever. They literally left it at that.
I don't want to hear no excuses, man. You're in a first world country. You live in the United States. You got running water. You got food. You got everything, bro.
You okay, bro?
Look at this.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm also both hot and stressed, and I had to pee for the last 20 minutes, and it's tough when wanting to say something to that, but I also kind of feel like I know that I shouldn't say anything and should just sit here and be like, cool, I'll work on it. So, cool, I'll work on it, even though I really have to pee.
Yeah,
No,
Boom.
you can go.
But time out. Does that sound like someone who really received that kind of message? Basically what I was just talking about before. Does that sound like someone who received the message? Myron, you're talking at him, basically to the point where he's like, well, I guess you're not listening to where my concerns are, so I'm just going to be that good little person who's going to sit there and say, okay, fine, Myron, you're so right. You're so great. You're so this. I'm just going to listen to all these stuff that, you're telling me and go home and just feel shitty about myself and not even try. That's basically what you're doing. That's basically what it is. You're basically not having him considered. So you basically did not help this man at all. You did not help this man at all. In fact, you embarrassed this man, okay? And you embarrassed this man to the point where he's feeling. This is actually making me feel like some kind of way, because it's like, damn, bro, no consideration whatsoever. I see why you bomb with females all the time. Your game ain't changed, and anybody listen to you on this crap, it's garbage, bro. Like, real talk, you need to understand how to deal with people, and that's the problem, Myron Gaines. You don't understand how to deal with people because you don't understand other people's experiences, because you yourself are selfish-minded in thinking to be able to look at someone who's trying to tell you his circumstances, not excuses, circumstances. And if you were really good with people, you would understand the difference between the two, but you can't, because you're out here throwing bricks, and now you're trying to tell him how to throw bricks, but now his head turned into a brick because he ain't even listening to what the hell you saying. He ain't even listening, bruh. He's gonna go home and get even more depressed. That's how it is. If you're good with people and you can read a situation appropriately, you can read that situation and understand, God damn, bro, I'm really laying into this man right now. Let me go ahead and dial it back and figure out another way I can have this conversation, another way I can spend it where he can be more receptive to my message. That's the point, to be more receptive to my message. Not talk at him, but understand him. God damn.
Hey, bro.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Talk
Hey,
amongst yourselves. I'll give you
reflect on it for
a
a second.
topic. Peanut is neither
Reflect on
pea
it.
nor nut.
I'm done.
Discuss.
I'm done. I'm sorry, bro. He's about to exit stage. I'm done with this because what is this? And there was no advice given to this man whatsoever. And I can feel for you, Skippy, going through that nonsense. All right, I feel for you. You probably didn't learn anything about yourself. Real talk. You probably just learned more shit that really just are gonna make you feel bad. And then at the end, he's talking about go ahead and reflect on it. Like, reflect on what? Reflect on you just basically destroy me to the point where I can't even handle being on the podcast anymore. Reflect on that. Okay, genius, I'll go ahead and give that a try. I mean, what the hell? Listen, Skippy, all right, that sucks that you have to go through that, but here's some things that you're gonna have to start doing, all right? And I need you to do this right now every time you get out of bed. The first thing you need to do is you start thinking this: no matter what the hell happens to me, I'm gonna be all right. Because the first thing starts with getting your mental in order, all right? We gotta get your mind in order. You gotta start getting through your thick skull. Listen to me. No matter what happens to me, as long as I got breath in my lungs and fire in my soul, I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna go out there and go ahead and and make things happen. And the first action you need to do is you start getting yourself physically active. I'm not saying go to the gym and spend all these goddamn times doing it, but literally start small and build big. And then when you start small, start with 10 push-ups a day. If you can't do 10, do 5 push-ups a day, 5 squats a day, 5 sit-ups a day. You do that, all right? Not even every day. Pick 3 days out of the week that you can do that, all right? And you pick those 3 days, you got to make a mental promise to yourself, a mental commitment to yourself that you're going to stick with it, because this is the foundation of integrity you're going to start building right here. The foundation of integrity and routine once you keep going with the schedule, all right? And what you're going to notice, Skippy, as you're going through your 5 push-ups, sit-ups, and all these different regimens, you're going to notice that it's starting to get easier. Your muscles are going to start getting used to the kind of load you're doing this. You gradually increase and increase, all right? Now, to work on the female aspect of it, as you're building your body and getting that stuff used to, go ahead and get yourself groomed up. Clean up the mustache and all that stuff you got going up here, all right? And I'm not telling you to date because you're not in a position to date yet, but I'm not telling you to not have interactions with women, okay? As you get yourself cleaned up and you're working on all these things with your routine and whatnot, I need you to go out there and start saying hi to women. Start saying hi to ladies, all right? Start complimenting the ladies on different things that you have that they like, all right? And don't be awkward about it. I see you tend to add extra things to make it awkward. I'm not sure if that's your personality or because you're nervous or you don't know what else to say, but literally just go up to them, say, hey, mama, I like your shoes. You don't even have to say it like that. You say, hey, you got nice shoes on today. You look well put together, and move on about your business. That's it. You do that to 3 girls, and you repeat that every single time you go out, okay? And then once you're done, all right, we'll go back to the fitness piece as things are starting to get better because you're doing this alongside this, all right? You got to be multi-goddamn thinking because you're 40, you got a lot of work and not a whole lot of time. So you're going to start thinking about this, all right? So now you're going to get yourself in the gym. You're going to do some more cardio. You start getting to the point where, you know, your workouts just start getting more intense to the point your body can handle, all right? And then you're going to start noticing something, all right? Your body's changing. Your demeanor's changing. All these different things are changing and you're becoming more confident with women. Guess what? Now is the time for you to try more. But while you're doing all that, let's go ahead and revisit your finances. You're chilling with your roommates right now. Congratulations, you're no longer with mama, so that's the first step of freedom, all right? Now, the next thing you got to do is you got to figure out how to manage your money. Now, you were talking about how you make $15,000 a year. That's fine. You got your roommate. Now this is time to budget. If you can squeeze out an extra $100 to $150 a month, you need to put that away. All right. You need to put that away towards paying figuring out what your debt situation is. And let's go ahead and dive into that briefly. Okay. To figure out what it is that your debt situation is, you got to understand how much debt do you have? What is the situation that you do? Is this something that can be disputed? Is this something that I can go ahead and figure out how I can work a deal with the creditors to be able to make sure that we can go ahead and pay this down and eventually get it removed or amended on my credit report? Now this is the time to start putting together a plan to take on that debt and take on your credit to make sure you're in the right place. And it starts with saving. And while you're doing that, don't stop with your YouTube. Keep grinding on that. But you want to make sure you find a schedule that is set right for you and it works well, which not only your mental health, because this stuff is taxing. It's not easy. A lot of people watching here, they think they just come in. And matter of fact, hit the like button while I'm doing this real quick. Y'all don't understand this content where it takes work, but don't quit. Keep doing your YouTube. Keep grinding out. You just got to find the time span that works for you, okay? Keep building all these different things. And the job that you have right now, figure out how you can get more money out of a job, whether it's requesting for a raise or making a step up move, right? And whether it's basically applying for a different position within the company that pays a little bit more, or applying for a different position within another company similar, but you know, a little bit of a step up that pays a little bit more, so you can start adding to the point where you're taking down that debt. When that debt's done and it's taken down, right, now you got to figure out how to get yourself out of your apartment to the point where you're dealing with a place by yourself. But real talk, I don't even need to really do all that right now. It's cool to chill with a roommate. It's cool to chill by yourself. It's cool to have that situation where you're a bachelor. You're the kind of person right now, Skippy, you don't really need to be alone. You gotta need to be with other dudes, or probably hopefully they're like-minded dudes who can help at least push you or at least hold you accountable. So when you're doing these things every single day, or at least taking these steps to better your life, you have someone there in your corner. Not these guys who are just talking at you, but guys who are actually gonna give you information to go boom, there you go. And that's not even the full thing yet, but just right in that little piece, in that little 4-minute piece there, I just gave you a step-by-step plan on how to basically better your life for the better. All right, that's it. And it's not telling you, it's actually helping you. That advice just came from a place of understanding your inadequacies and understanding where you're coming from, but how to also deal and work with that, because I understand that people are different. Not everyone is the same. Not everyone is going to be coming out here throwing bricks. All right, and that's the thing that Myron Gaines Dane's not gonna tell you, right? Because a lot of times, right, the reason why he doesn't even get laid as much as he gets laid, because a lot of girls will tell you his looks, all right, are more than willing to take him and get him through the door. It's his attitude that stinks. You got the attitude, all right? Now you just got to go ahead and work on the looks. He has the looks. He just doesn't have the attitude. And the shit that he's teaching you right now is going to help you only become more a bitter person, all right? And you don't want that. So take that advice and listen, man, if you're watching this right now, listen, come on. If you want some more hands-on stuff, you want to come on the show, you see some of the lives we'll do. Well, I know Allende really wants to work with you, and he is going to want to be the one that's going to basically take your fitness to the next level, and you ain't got to do nothing. We'll work with you, bro. Don't worry about it. But go ahead and take this advice, pay attention to it, and figure out how you're going to move on. Figure out what it is that your why is, how it is you're going to get to the point where every single day you're waking up to become that person that you're supposed to be, that you need to be. All right, that's all I got in this case. I thought it was pretty weird. I thought it was pretty sad just seeing him go through this, but it was absolutely necessary to break this down because we have to suss out the good ideas from the bad ideas. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.